In the east, at dark, bright Mars appears, and soon the full moon follows the sun's path, east to west across a blue-black sky. I am always restless in this time of the full moon, a common lunatic, and move about the frozen monastery moon-watching. Rising over the white river, the moon illuminates the ghostly prayer flag blowing so softly on the roof of the still hut, it seems to kindle the stacked brushwood. On its altered stone, my small clay Buddha stirs. The snow across the river glows, and the rocks and the peaks, the serpentine black streams, the snows, sky, stars, the filament, all ring out to me. A shadow passes overhead. Dark, light, dark. A raptor, scimitar-winged, under the moon's peak. I know. In such a light, one might hope to see the shadow of that bird across the sky. The ground whirls with its own energy, not in an alarming way, but in slow spiral, and at these altitudes, in this vast space and silence, that energy pours through me, joining my body with the sun until small silver breaths of cold, clear air, no longer mine, are lost in the mineral breathing of the mountain. Between the feather that descends, sheep dung, light, and the fleeting aggregate of atoms that is I, there is no particle of difference. There is a moon above me, but this I is opposite nothing, opposed to nothing. I grow into these mountains like a moss. I am bewitched. The blinding snow peaks in the clarion air, the sound of earth and heaven in the silence, the requiem birds, the mythic beasts, the flags, great horns, and old carved stones. All of it above me. Having got here at last, I do not wish to leave. I am in pain about it, truly, so much so that I have to smile or I might weep. I think of my wife and how she would smile too. In another life, these mountains were my home. There is a rising of forgotten knowledge, like a spring from hidden aquifers under the earth. To glimpse one's own true nature is a kind of homegoing, to a place east of the sun and west of the moon.
That was beautiful. What were you doing reading that?
So I was trying to get myself to start to go to sleep, and I'm reading a book that has absolutely nothing ostensibly to do with transformation. A book actually given to me by a good friend and former guest of the podcast, Toledo, called The Snow Leopard by Peter Matthiessen. And the story, well, it's basically a nonfiction work about his travel to Nepal, in particular, to go to a Buddhist monastery and to potentially see a snow leopard. And so I'm just reading this book. Again, this book is from like 1978, won the National Book Award. It's quite good. Mm-hmm. The guy's really going through it because his wife died like not too long before this trip. And he's kind of going on a spiritual journey with his friend who is very autistic about sheep, which we love for him. But I'm reading this and then I get to, the full moon, and it makes me restless, and I become a lunatic, and I become one with the moss, and I'm like, hello?
I think it's really cool to hear somebody refer to the term lunatic in that more literal way, since I know it's colloquial now for just crazy person, but yeah, that's it.
It's pretty fucking good.
That's where you get it from, guys.
Yeah.
Welcome to this week's episode, people.
Hello. Welcome to the sleep deprived episode because I can't fucking sleep. That's fucking poetry, man. Like, I'm like, yeah, this is why this fucking won a National fucking Book Award. Like, shit like that. This is how the book is written in general. But I jumped out of my fucking skin. I was like, it's everywhere. What the fuck?
Yeah.
How is it everywhere?
That is the power of the written word. You can't just vomit that out. That's why I say that you can't just replace drawing with writing if you feel you can't do it. Because in order to write that, you got to really dig deep sometimes, or have a certain flow, or have a certain playfulness, something that you want to express. And that is something that I think people need to remember when it comes to writing and the power of the written word. Mm-hmm. Power of the dollar does matter, though. Our Patreon is open to that power. You can give us just a few dollars a month and save a little bit of sanity, the little sanities inside of my brain for which they yearn for sleep that they cannot have. But that can help bring both of us a little bit more peace, especially me. How did it go? I said, just money, give it to me.
Ah, yes.
Come on.
Yes.
Come on.
That illustrious animation.
And maybe Zil will read more books if you really like that, just passages, although they will vary in quality to whatever the fuck we feel like putting on.
I mean, we've shown the breadth of what I can read on air already between the drunk episode and this, obviously. I have oodles of experience across a wide range of literature and literary topics. So, for all your poetic and erotica needs, drop me a line.
What I would love to be able to do if it was in the theme, but it's not in the theme of the show, is just do a nice several-part table reading of Frog Detective together.
Oh my god.
Because it is a gorgeous experience.
It was beautiful.
And there's
I'm
no
so
TF.
glad that we just started reading them.
Yeah. There's no TF in Frog Detective. But it doesn't need it. Not everything needs it. But sometimes I think we like to make sure that we can find it whenever we want it. And hence there is a patron topic that I wanted to get into, and that's the preservation of the art, or lack thereof. Because many years ago, when I was fresher into just where to find this stuff, I was finding zip files uploaded on forums, even like 4chan and shit like that. People would just upload those, and they would have like 1,000 images, sometimes like 2,000. It would just be assorted sometimes, partially put in the folders, everything like that. And I'm just like, man, who the fuck are these people, But over the years, when the artists go missing, when, we talked about artists going missing and why, but sometimes when these people just disappear, there goes the body of their work. If not all of it, most of it. And some of it's really good stuff, and some of it is, well, fuck that shit. Good that it's gone. If you have to ask which one, just listen to the Bubba episode, and then you can just, triangulate your opinions on that.
Christ.
I don't know, Zil. I don't know, what have you been thinking about over the years when it comes to preservation, finding stuff? Because it's just an interesting thing to find a zipped up pack of shit with just hundreds of images.
It's really frustrating sometimes because, I've seen this happen so many times in my time on the internet, and I think it will always happen when you don't suspect it, and unfortunately, the need to just save things gets, stronger by the day in many senses. There are some kind of safety nets in particular. There's a rather sketchy one for any FA nuking, as it's called. You can basically find any single art piece that was ever uploaded to Fur Affinity through the dark web, because there's actually a Tor mirror of the entire website and all of its uploads and all of the text content that was on those uploads that you can access with a Tor browser. I don't know who is maintaining it or what their fucking deal is or anything, but that exists, and I'm gonna be frank, that has actually saved more art probably than any other single thing online. Any artist who has deleted stuff, their stuff is still uploaded there if it was uploaded on Fur Affinity. And I think about that because I'm someone who very much has strong feelings about preservation of art in general, and there was a point in my life when I did actually delete my Fur Affinity gallery, and I still kind of regret it. So there was somewhat of a relief to know that it still existed on this backup thing, and it was very early on, so not much of value was lost necessarily, and wasn't actually lost. But I think about that a lot because maybe in the moment I thought I was taking out my stuff for other reasons, but it was all there on the fucking dark web, basically. So it was like, okay, cool. The thing I bemoan more is the fact that other websites don't really have that kind of function. So, you know, lots of people have deleted stuff off of like DeviantArt and stuff. That shit's like gone to the wind. Or like individual art websites. I remember where I was when Foxy's website went dark, you know, shit like that. Like there is a tragic element to it. And I think in particular, you know, transfer has had better days, but it is probably the next best thing when it comes to like art preservation to some degree. And I shudder to think what could happen if it was ever taken down or whatnot. I don't think it's under any imminent stress per se, because I know it's on Akani's server and she's been very gracious on that front. But I just think about how so much of like art preservation comes down to, like you said, random kind Samaritans who are just trading zip files or whatever. I mean, I even think about the fact that like I have a shared drive with my boyfriend, and you know, we've traded like a bunch of fucking art that we've just collectively shared like individually so that we have it together. And it's like, again, the fact that you have to have that kind of like a file sharing system and shit is kind of whack, right? So, you know,
I suppose it did make me think of how it made me think of a couple of things. And the first one is when we're like when we're thinking of saving these kind of things, I think of what people could be like I don't know what could be maintained throughout it. Like, is this like a general history? But I really wonder also, what worth do people find in it aside from reflecting? One could put like a kind of history together, but that would take a bit more thought. So I feel like it's a bit of a novelty. And in that respect, it makes me feel like there is I wonder if there is a sentiment of either consumerism or true appreciation, and how much of each of those is in the mix of people who are concerned about preservation. Because of course we have comments many times, and we'll continue to comment on people who say they want more and they need more. I even saw a Blue Sky post today that was really funny, where they said, I didn't expect to see a really good Dragon Monster TF in this show. And I thought, well, why? If you know it's coming, then I guess it's not really a surprise either. That sometimes it's a surprise to see that happen. But that's all it started, is like they don't expect it. Like it's everywhere, and I keep saying it. And I don't like spoiling things for people just to say it has TF in it, so you're not going to know what show it is. Maybe you'll find the post, but that's up to you. But what do you think?
Yeah.
There could be the mix between appreciation, consumerism, either of those things. Where do you think people might land on it in general?
I mean, because you're asking me in a sleep-deprived state, my answer is going to be a bit more blunt, perhaps. But, like, I think in a large amount of cases, people just really want to maintain their FAP material, and, like, that's pretty important to them. So I guess more on the consumerism side. I think, though, that there are people who, like, do actually really care about, like, the preservation of art, and I think that's important, you know? I think about, like, Tofty Alpaca, for example, does a lot of actual, like, genuine preservation of old furry art. Not necessarily TF, per se, but, like, the zines that were being published by furries in, like, the 80s and 90s and stuff. Like, he has been collecting it so it can be preserved properly. Like, there are people out there who do genuinely take this very seriously and want to do the right thing. And, like, that's why I'm, like, with this, like, mysterious person who's maintaining the dark mirror of fur affinity. I don't fucking know, like, if they have good intentions or not. But at least when it comes to, like, TF art specifically, yeah, I think, like, I think it's probably more driven by consumerism. But I think there are people out there who generally do want it to be preserved for the right reasons. And at least from like my perspective, you know, when those things have been lost, I've bemoaned it more from that perspective too. Because like a lot of one of the things I think about a lot is like a lot of art develops from what came before it. And in particular, I think about how you could see a lot of iterative linear changes in like TF focus and such with art that was like in like the late 90s to like the mid 2000s, because it was all kind of in the same place. And so people could look at other pieces and be like, that maybe inspires me, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm talking like specifically like online posted content, not like
Correct.
media.
Yeah.
But like, especially now that like things aren't centralized and stuff, it's harder to like look back directly and be like, oh, this is what people were focused on at this point in time. Maybe there's something in that to inspire me further. I feel like a lot of that has kind of dropped off. And part of that is because of the decentralization. And part of it is because people don't know where to just find old shit, period.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of a fucking shame, you know? Like, I genuinely think that, I mean, again, not to like be all like high-minded or whatever, but I think about how like people back in like the Renaissance, for example, were constantly drawing on references from older paintings or older stories. I mean, there were certain stories that would often come up a lot because they were getting paid by the church, and so they were going to do the same fucking church story over and over again. But even when they were doing things that were like boring subjects, they were taking inspiration from other creative spins on it and then adding their own shit. And I think a lot of art is like building off of older stuff and giving it your own spin and making something new. So if we don't have a connection to the history of like TF art, if it keeps disappearing and shit, that's a detriment to everyone. And like, I don't know. I think also like there's probably something to be said about like us having similar conversations over and over again if we don't know what conversations happened before. But
yeah,
I think that's been less of a
stagnate
problem
that way. I think you make a lot of great points, and of course, a lot of artwork is either somebody's general recreation of it or defiance of it, and that's where you start to get avant-garde type stuff. So that's definitely something to consider. And of course, a lot of people are inspired by media, which, you know, I know that you didn't really want to qualify it that way, but in terms of inspiration, you know, that comes together through artists. But like same thing, it comes together also when maybe you see something in a movie, but then when you see somebody draw it or do whatever with it, then you're like, oh, maybe I could try it too. And it's a pretty cool thing to be able to see, especially with maybe themes or little things that people try to express that maybe we don't see anymore. Maybe there's a lot of personalized stuff and inner turmoil and expression that we don't get to see. And so there is that value in preserving things. That is the idea of preservation, is to avoid mistakes, but also build on things that you would like. Because even I look at my old work, my really old things, and I don't hate all of it. I know the common thing with many artists, or what people think they know about artists, is that they look at their old work and they hate it and they cringe and all that fucking bullshit. But the truth is, when I look at some of my stuff, I think, you know, this wasn't right, but I do like these aspects of it. I want to do that again. And you could get that if you were able to possibly better preserve it, at least more reliably. Arguably, it not being centralized is both a good and bad thing, because if the one place goes down, it doesn't all get destroyed. But it is difficult to find, because it's not exactly networked. People don't like register to a transformation media guild or anything like that. Hey, that's an idea. Want to pay us for it? That's a full-time job. Anyway,
But yeah, I feel like, you know, especially like I'm saying back in the day, but it is actually a decade ago, so I guess it is back in the day. You know, like I was doing shit in like 2015 that was based on foxy artwork I really liked from 2004, right? Like, and I see a lot less of that these days. I don't know. And like you said, like I think there's something to be said about building on art, and if we don't have a way to preserve that art, then you can't build upon it. And it's like, you know, I feel like there's like culture lost. That sounds like very high-minded for what ends up a lot of the time being kind of like porn or porn adjacent, but like I still think it fucking counts, you know? Like I think it counts and it should be preserved so that people can build on the artistic themes that come from it.
Well, it should count because porn is art. It's just another expression.
It is.
It really gets degraded because it's supposed to be a gratification of a thing that people generally find offensive unless it's in
because
very
pee-pee
specific
scandalous.
Pee-pee and veve and all that shit.
Yes.
And sometime asshole hole, which I had no cute name, so you get asshole hole. Enjoy that. See, when there's a difference. There's just like there
it can also be called an exit.
It is an exit. the V entrance and the ass exit. Exit hole.
We love an entrance and an exit. Truly the sexiest terms to apply to orifices on the human body.
Including the word orifice. Don't use it.
Yes. No, you should use it. Orifice is a wonderful word that has no negative connotations in the slightest.
I just want to let everybody know, if I sound a little bit drunk, remember it has been shown in studies that being sleep deprived is similar to being drunk. So,
I mean, I'm also wearing my Himbos Hooters tank top right now, so that's probably also having an effect.
Nano enchanted bot shirt creeping into your spinal brain through the back of the skin touch parts.
The IQ is being drained and the muscles are growing big.
Well, the muscles grow big when you fall asleep. You wake up and you do the Peter Parker, but you're dumber instead of not needing your glasses anymore, you know?
Damn. So I'm still going to need my glasses and be dumber? That seems like a cop-out.
I mean, don't you think it would actually be cute if you're just this big hulking guy with your glasses? Come on. People find it. I mean, Superman is that. Superman is like a big guy with glasses when he's Clark and shit like that.
I love my glasses. I don't want to lose them, to be clear. They're a great attribute of myself. Listen, that and my long hair are two very defining traits that people see in the pieces I commission over and over again, and they go, oh, that must be Zil again, getting muscles or doing some weird TF. That's definitely them.
What a fucking weirdo.
But don't you know, if you see a piece with that and you see the glasses and the long hair, that means it's someone, and that means for some people now pee-pee can't get hard because it's a real person. Thank you, 4chan.
Yeah.
Thank you, 4chan.
Man, classic posts on there. There's the salt of the earth there, huh? Fucking A.
The collective id.
Between that of like, I like this, but it would be better if she wasn't smiling. And why is TF better than just... No, it was the question of somebody genuinely asking why people like TG. Like, what makes that better than just starting as a woman anyway? And one of the responses I can't forget.
Response.
Yes, one of the responses I can't forget.
Content warning for massive fucking transphobia. Go ahead.
It was pretty much like, yeah, you know, if they start as a guy, then, you know, they don't have like the hang-ups that women do. So it's like better in like every way in that respect. And it's like, wow, holy shit. That is so fucked up. You know what?
Literal fucking scum.
Yeah, but you know what? I also... I didn't get to preserve that thread because it was full of other very interesting answers. Some of them were actually kind of insightful with people just being like, oh, I like it because of this and that. And I can't remember them because the one I remember is that pustule of a response, you know?
Terrible thing.
Yeah.
That's 4chan for
It's amazing. And if you're wondering, oh my God, what were you doing in 4chan? Get the fuck out of here. Lots of people were on 4chan at one point or another. I also wasn't a user. I would be the kind of person who would go in every now and again and say, what's in here? And then leave. So don't worry, everybody. I'm not that kind of guy. Maybe you don't give a fuck if I say that anyway. Anyway, yeah, I found that shit on 4chan. It was very interesting. But at least one more thing that I wanted to actually ask regarding the preservation thing. And this is not a rhetorical question, but what the fuck makes us entitled to someone else's work if they don't want it up there?
That is a really good question. You're probably not going to get as eloquent an answer I'd normally give, but whatever. I kind of think that, you know, when it comes to shit like that, there is an element of death of the author in the sense that once you have contributed to the collective artistic id of a space, it's not that you lose the rights to the picture, because you absolutely don't. And I do think that you have a right to be like, hey, don't fucking repost my shit. That being said, in terms of people still hanging on to it, you've kind of lost the battle on that the moment you posted it up, because as we already know, people save shit, and that's how shit gets saved around. There's definitely a lot of thorny ethical questions to talk about. Who has the right to, like, use those pieces as inspiration moving forwards or whatever the fuck? But I think there is something to be said about the fact that if you post something on the internet, it's basically there forever, and you can fight that as much as you want, but it's a losing battle at the end of the day. And I'm not saying that's a good thing. It's just how it is. So I don't know. I feel like, yeah, death of the author is a big part of that. I don't think people should be fucking shitty. Like, if someone's like, I'm deleting my stuff, don't post my shit anywhere, yeet, I'm going to be like, yeah, don't fucking post their shit anywhere. But, like, people have a right. Well, they don't have a right, but they're going to save it, basically. So, I mean, if you want to, if when you leave and you're like, I don't want anyone to see my shit ever again, I'm sorry, that boat sailed the moment it was posted somewhere. So,
yeah, that's a different thing, and that's the responsibility of the artist. But really, I guess I bring up that question because I feel like, again, it's a matter of entitlement, and I complain about it a lot. But yeah, I guess I just want people to recognize when they say they wish that certain things were saved, you know, what is the real grief in not having it? Is it simply because you don't have it and you want it? Is it because, you know, maybe you got something closer to Zil where you think, yeah, you know, it's just kind of cool to see what people built up, like the line of secession, pretty much, you know, that kind of thing. You want to be able to see the past. I think history is very interesting, and history told well is a great story. So it would be great to be able to see that. But yeah, I do wonder, and I think you should ask yourselves the question if you're listening to this, and this could really be applied to any kind of media that you want preserved.
Oh yeah.
But in this, we're going to keep it to this, because when artists go, they go, and do you really think that it should be up there just because it was there? Sometimes you got to let some things go.
You do. And I think if I had to, like, summarize my viewpoint, I'm coming at it from a Wikipedia perspective of, like, it's nice to be able to see this stuff from, like, a historical perspective, and, like, you know, I like going down a Wikipedia hole, right? But it's not the end of the world if you don't have it. But I think there's something nice to be said about preserving stuff from a historical perspective. So
it's certainly
I'm repeating
good.
myself now.
No, it's fine. Like I did say, we're sleep deprived, and if you're like, oh man, you already said that, well, why don't you help us sleep by subscribing to our Patreon? It won't solve our problems, but I'm doing it again. Do you think I give a fuck right now?
We did that already.
I'm very, very much just. I'm here for you people, man. I'm here for you people. I'm here to speak my message. Yeah, you did. You can mention it several times, like I can mention the Patreon several times. Again.
Because I've forgotten already.
Yeah, that's fine. It is nice to be able to, like, talk on the show and shit, and be able to give one's own perspective on things. Because I mean, pretty much anybody can have a platform right now. You know, for as long as that's allowed in the United States. I say make sure that the moment somebody threatens your actual freedom of speech, you know, you have...
It's already happening.
You have... I know, but actually realize that some people they react really wait until, like, they actually see the goose stepping happen, which is remarkable. This is kind of how, like, the Nazi thing is happening again. Did I mention that we're fucking tired? We're really fucking
Yeah.
tired. I slept about maybe 3 or 4 hours today, and the previous day I slept about maybe 2 or fucking 3. I'm fucking tired, okay? But I wanted to do this. There's stuff to say. There's people to fucking please. Pleasing people can be nice. You know, I say that there's got to be contempt for the audience and everything like that. But honestly, I still like to make some people at least a little fucking happy to do something nice. I'm not that mean of a guy. Maybe you don't believe that either. Fuck you.
Yeah. Well, I think also, like, one of the things I was kind of thought, wow. One of the things that I was thinking about while we were chatting about the art preservation is also the fact that, and we've talked about this a few times before on the show, but past informs the future and shit, and you know, when I see how things are going right now, there's a lot of, like, warning flags that tie into a lot of art destruction, you know, and I wonder, you know, with how things are going on various websites, like, I wonder how long we have before this category of stuff starts getting lumped in with like content that's going to be removed. And I guess what I'm trying to say with that is, you know, we already saw kind of this whole wave of puritanical prudish bullshit, basically cloaked in, well, think about the children, when it came to, like, you know, fascism and stuff, and like the persecution of sex workers and the purging of a lot of not safe for work content across a variety of different more centralized websites. Twitter is now a Nazi website, so, like, great.
Yeah. By the way, if you think there's any ambiguity, I have to interrupt. If you think there's any ambiguity to that, like, that's an extreme statement. It's not. It's not. You can either get with the program and realize it, or you can go fuck yourself, because being Nazi, just being indifferent about Nazis makes you a Nazi. And
no, call a spade, you know, and that's, you know, what it's become. But the point I'm just trying to make, though, is, like, there's all these, like, social media sites that don't allow you to do that shit anymore. Twitter was one of them, and now it's a Nazi website. Blue Sky is, like, the new place, and I'm glad that it exists and has a lot of actually really great functionality for, like, rating your content and stuff. But I wonder and worry a little bit about, like, this is the new place. It's kind of the only place that I can think of on, like, social media besides Mastodon, which has an audience of not a lot of people. It's like, okay, so Blue Sky is the place right now. What happens if it goes away? I mean, we just lived through the FA stuff of the website went down and we didn't know what the fuck was going on and all this other shit. And, you know, I feel like that was kind of a wake-up call for some people, but then, you know, we all are like, well, now we're more aware of it, but no one seems to be doing anything. And I think that's, like, the problem I have with a lot of shit that's going on right now. It's a lot of people feeling like the bad stuff is happening, someone should do something, and then a lot of people just sit around. And, like, listen, I'm not criticizing anyone for, like, feeling helpless in the face of fascism, but the thing I just worry about is, like, particularly when it comes to, like, this sort of content, you know, we're already seeing how easy it is for websites to ban not safe for work content. You don't think that the next thing on some of these websites lists is the banning of queer and trans art? Because once again, we're literally seeing, like, trans people being erased from government websites and shit, and the fucking Stonewall Inn Memorial. You think they won't go steps further and start banning, like, the art associated with it too?
That is the Nazi stuff, people.
And that's all adjacent to any sort of weird, queer, kinky art, and, like, transformation is a subset of that. So I don't know. I feel like we're not being honest about the path we're on right now. That's the thing I worry about. I think, yes, it's okay to limit your media consumption and not think about this shit all the time. You should do that, honestly. Too much is a bad thing. But also, I think we should also be very clear-eyed and realistic with ourselves about the half-life of some of these websites and shit, because it feels like they keep getting shorter. And nobody can say with 100% certainty what the future holds, but it's not looking great right now. And I think it's fair to be asking the question of, what are we going to do if that happens? If that potential future comes along, what are we going to do? Because I don't fucking know. And I don't think anyone fucking knows right now. But we got to ask the question first so we can figure out what the fuck we're going to do. You know what I mean?
Yep. I am concerned about that. But, yeah, please don't be the firebomb a Walmart and then not firebomb it type of person.
That's my favorite meme.
Because the joke, of course, is like, oh my god, who would do that? It's pointless, and also you're not going to do it anyway, so get the fuck out of here.
I gotta read the specific meme because it is very important and very relevant. And if you feel like you're being described when I am reading this, do some introspection. The all-time Twitter banger I'm talking about is from Link of Sunshine, and the post is, people on Twitter will really be like, you believe in voting? That pales in effectiveness to my strategy, firebombing a Walmart, and then not firebomb a Walmart.
Yep. That's Library of Congress type shit. For the while, that Congress is worth a damn until we get it back, because the country is going to collapse. Did I mention that we're tired? This is part of why we're tired, and if you're wondering, what does this have to do with TF? Zil just fucking told you so. The shit is actually under attack in a very direct way. And if you think that this is depressing, imagine how I feel, and anybody who is remotely connected to the United States fucking feels. Never mind the hundreds of millions that live there. What?
I mean, yes, that, and also the fact that I think it's on everyone's fucking mind at this point, because unfortunately the global reach and ramifications of things that happen there affects everyone.
Yes, absolutely.
Whether or not anyone else likes it or not. So,
yeah,
you know,
I guess I have to bring it to that point because a lot of people can't seem to relate to that. It seems very nebulous, until something happens in their town. Why is this so expensive? Why can't we get this anymore? Well, it comes from this place which has this situation, therefore we cannot have it. And that is something that people don't really fucking get. So, you know what? No. Unfortunately, I did do the appeal to, the personal, what if that was you thing. It's a little ineffective because people write that off. Sometimes you just got to make sure that you don't roll it off immediately. Make sure that you pay attention, then decide. And if you decide it's not important, then maybe you kind of take your head out of the sand before the rest of you gets pushed into the hole. Yeah. Anyway, yes, do fucking stay vigilant on that. I have to talk about it at least a little bit. At least a little bit. No. We can't pretend it's not happening. Yeah.
That's fucking insane. I'm sorry. I know people are kind of like, oh, I would like something where we don't talk about the thing. And I get that. Trust me, I fucking get that. But also, I'm not going to sit here and be like, yes, and everything is totally normal right now, and we are just continuing to do our happy little show here. Come on, guys, we gotta at least acknowledge this shit. It's fucked. It's affecting everyone, and I don't know. It's genuinely something that can't go unaddressed.
Yeah.
And I don't have patience for people who are like, ooh, no politics. Get the fuck out of here. So
yeah. In case you missed any episode where maybe one or both of us has screamed this at people, because fuck it, I'll scream it at people. I don't care if it's effective or not. You if you see a place that specifically says no politics, likely you want to not deal with that kind of space because it will allow Nazis. And, you're using the Nazi word. Is that the N-word the white people are really afraid of? Tell me if that's the word. Because it seems like it. It seems like whenever you bring that up, people are like, "Oh no, that's not. It's not that."
Yeah, all right, sure.
Yeah, I just, we need to talk about it at least a little bit. Like I said, it's part of why we're tired, man. Shit's so fucking stressful, and from personal to just international, shit's changing so fast. A lot of it for the worst. And I'm just really hoping that this blows over soon enough that all the damage gets done and we can start repairing faster. Because that's the point we're at, people. You better prepare yourselves. I'm willing to bet easy fucking money that most of the people that listen to this show, our humble audience, are all some kind of queer or considered like socially deviant or some kind of shit like that. Or maybe you're disabled and you're not really seen by anybody. You don't even participate online, but it's all coming for you. It's coming for all of us. And it doesn't matter that I'm north of the border of my hometown. I am in trouble with that shit too. It's fucked up, dude.
But that's also why we got to support each other. And that's, I think, the one thing I also want to drive home. Like, I think people are usually pretty good in the community about supporting each other, and we're going to need a lot of that to get through the next while. And I just hope that people also remember that shit, because it's important. So.
Yes, absolutely. Just here, let me also add a bit more perspective to this to make sure that this isn't just buckle down and knuckle up type shit. Remember that these people are ultimately, although evil and sometimes just purely selfish, they don't even believe in anything, they're by consequence of evil, in case you want to be really fucking big-headed about it. They're stupid, and they're bad at government. Remember that fascists are always bad at government. And that is why I said that this shit hopefully will fall over faster so we can get started again. In the meantime, if shit does get real bad real fast and then it's over real fast, you guys can survive a harsh time, but a shorter time. And then you can have cool fucking stories to say, yeah, I lived through that shit. I lived through that shit. You can take that with you. And that can be pretty cool too.
Yeah. And with those very perspective words, I will now veer the topic in 180 degrees and say, what do you think is the difference between brain rot and not brain rot when it comes to TF?
I think brain rot has to do with when every single time you bring something up, it has to... Okay, how about this? I have known a few people who will be like, oh, does it have TF in it? Or, oh, there's this story I really like, or there's this art I really like, or there's this art I made I really like, but it doesn't have TF in it. And it makes me think that either those people have it, or actually, no. Apologies. I will backtrack on that. The people who preface things like that, I think, are often the people who have been turned away because those things that they want to share don't contain them. And that speaks of brain rot to me. When it's the only thing you're really looking for, if it's the only spice that makes nice, damn, man. Damn. That's the brain rot there.
But
what?
But Libra, what if it's the only thing that make pee-pee hard?
If it's the only thing that make pee-pee hard, that's your fetish, and you deal with it. But stop making people feel like shit about it, and be conscious about it. That's it. It's not all about your pee-pee. Sometimes it's about the mood. The mood has feelings. People have moods. The feelings and moods come from people. Don't be mean, because then, do you want them to be mean to your pee-pee, or your not pee-pee, or whatever you got? You don't want them to do that. I will talk to you like a child if this is making you angry. Because I'm fucking tired. I'm tired of that shit too. The brain rot thing is a really interesting question because it's a little hard to figure out who has it at the beginning or not at times with this fandom, because we're leading with it. Oh, we're in it, so let's talk about it. And it's something that you can only really kind of start to really detect if you talk to the same person long enough. And because if you start to notice that there is a pattern that is nearly unbroken, or is the only reason that they feel like talking about anything, that speaks of the brain rot. It's like when people playfully say, I am obsessed with something, and I know what it means. Sometimes they are, though. That's not good either. I don't know. You thought about the brain rot. Is your brain rotting? Are you himboing at me unknowingly?
I'm pretty focused on my massive pecs right now, so, you know.
Pecs is just tits with a different spelling in one syllable, too. And they're also tits. They also qualify as tits.
Yeah, you say this like it's a bad thing. That's a great thing.
You're the one taking it as a fucking. I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
I'm saying more for me.
You're
all around.
You're fucking brain rotting word at me because you dumb now.
I'm dumb.
You're dumb now. So let's talk with the dumb guy because I like this dumb guy. Yeah, I do wonder about the brain rot thing, and it really flattens a person. I don't know who really wants to have somebody around who will only interact with somebody through that lens. But if it's a monkey's paw wish, if you think you want it, you won't after a while. I don't know. Have you, like, certainly you must have dealt with your share of people who have done that kind of thing, because I've been in, like, talk circles and this and that over the years.
I definitely have, and, like, I also think that, like, you know, there's definitely been times where, like, I've, like, really leaned on, like, TF content in particular for, like, whatever reason. I don't know if it really has ever veered into the kind of, like, brain rot we're talking about in the sense of, like, this is the only thing I ever want to talk about kind of shit. But I'd be lying if I didn't say that, you know, there's definitely been times where, like, I specifically was craving that content and wanted to really look for it. But I don't know, I think, like, there are times where, like, I feel like some of the brain rot can yield really good shit, but on the balance of things, particularly when it comes to interacting with other people, it's usually a net negative. And, like, I think one of the most frustrating things sometimes in this space is artists being reduced to, like, you are a dispenser of TF porn, so you must be horny for it all the time, so let me talk horny at you kind of thing. And it's like, no, I have a life outside of this. I'm not always thinking about this. Sometimes I'm thinking about things that don't have anything to do with transformation. And if you're just going to vomit the brain rot at me, well, it's not really going to make me feel like a person. It's going to dehumanize me. So, you know, but no, I do think that, like, it can be very negative sometimes. I guess I do think there's some merit sometimes, in particular when someone, like, really focuses on a specific concept, but, like, really mines it for, like, not only mines it for ideas, but also mines it for, like, how do I put different permutations on this specific fixation that I have? And I think that can be interesting, at least, and sometimes you don't get that unless you have that sort of hyperfixation brain rot. But, like, otherwise, I think it can be really harmful to, like, what it means to, like, build a community and also relate to other people.
Yes.
But what do I know? I'm just a himbo.
You can't have a community if you're only going to be doing that shit. That's collective consciousness type shit.
Yeah.
More hive mind shit. I like bee transformations. Those are really good. They're really good. Yeah. There aren't enough of them for my taste, and I haven't made one in a long time, but anytime I've made one, I've been really happy about it. Yeah, I'll play with that next time. And I think Darkstalkers also just made me think about it again too, because there's QB. QB's so weird. That game is so weird. It's awesome.
I mean, B's got the cool abdomen for days, you know, so, like,
technically,
pretty fucking dope.
If you stick it onto a humanoid, it technically gives them two butts. You know what I mean?
It does.
It's quite the thing. Very monstery.
Two butts.
I love
Two
that.
butts.
Two butts. Fuck yeah.
Dual butts.
Oh, the brain rot. It's tiring.
You into exit? How about two exit?
Ooh,
two orifices.
Oh, let's get really pedantic about the anatomy. It's just there are some people, and I've seen them kind of, like, attach this label to themselves about being, like, specialists or fucking experts. And I'm like, who the fuck made you that? And I think that's like monstrously pretentious, and it just makes me want to not talk to you about this subject, because that implies that you're going to try to correct me rather than talk to me, and I do not want that.
It's no bueno. That's what we say in the business. It's no bueno.
Yeah, I think that's, yes, like you said, there's people who have like fixations or whatever, and they can create amazing things. And there is a fatal flaw in that isn't realized, and this goes over to like any discipline that people may admire. When people say they sink hours and hours of their life into it, so much sacrifice, and they do these things and they're amazing. They are amazing. However, you're missing the sacrifice part. The sacrifice part really, really hurts sometimes. Like in Berserk, the sacrifice part really fucking hurt. But also, even there was even the concern, yes, and I will keep on the Berserk thing, for those that don't know, the creator, and writer and artist for Berserk, Kentaro Miura, he actually had a period in his life where he put way too much time and energy toward Berserk. And it was actually really bad for his health. It was actually a crisis, and it led to several of the hiatuses that came up. Thankfully, and I know people will be like, but how? Thankfully, later in his life, he was much healthier. He was in better shape. He was taking care of himself and his needs. But why am I talking about this? Because maybe I lost your interest because I was talking about Berserk again. What does this have to do with TF? The thing that has to do with TF is that if you want to fancy yourself some kind of expert or think that you have to sink yourself into it to make anything like really good, just remember you're paying a price, and there will be something after that that's going to come along. And if you're going to build your life around it, what's that going to look like? And if you don't care, then you're not taking care of yourself. I think that if you want to be so immersed in the concept, then remember to come up for air.
So you're saying I can't be obsessed with turning into a himbo and getting massive pecs?
I think obsession in general.
Giving up other things.
I think obsession is bad.
But what if I want to identity death into a himbo?
If that's obsession, then obsession is bad. Stop being obsessed with anything. I don't care. I don't care if you're obsessed with good health. Those people are also freaks.
Obsession is canceled. You heard it here on the TFTuesday Podcast. Obsession canceled. Hyperfixation canceled.
No, hyperfixation
it's not cool anymore.
Hyperfixation is the grades below obsession, and I think we understand that. Okay. Because it can come up frequently.
Big words.
But obsession. I have big words in my head even when it's tired, man. Tired.
Yeah.
Maybe I should get some credit for being able to be on so little sleep and so little fucking emotional stamina. So much. And I'm still using the $5, $10, $20 words. Deoxyribonucleic acid, motherfucker. I said the whole thing. Anti-disestablishmentarianism. Fuckheads. Come on. Don't be a deadhead.
My brain shut off after the second syllable. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I'm turning people off right now. I am not an attractive person in any way, shape, or form. When I talk, people want to go away. I'm a very mean guy. Very unappealing. Lies. Well, what is appealing?
Lies.
What is appealing to you, Zil? Huh? Are you going to go and preserve your brain rot somewhere? Do you think it's important to preserve your brain rot?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Question answered.
I preserve it through the things I commission. Because every time I commission art, that's whatever's on my fucking mind at the time. And sometimes you can see a pattern, and I'm definitely in one of those patterns right now. So.
Oh, man, it's kind of like an art journal in a way. Like, oh, man, this was my this phase and my that phase.
Yeah. But through commissions.
It's true, though. No, listen. Like,
you joke,
and I know it sounds dumb maybe because it's TF commissions, but what's the difference between like the stuff you buy, like just merchandise and shit like that? Maybe you don't throw all of it away and like, oh, where did that come from? Like, oh, that was from the time that I was into this, and I'm not really into it now, but I like this thing, you know. That's the same sort of thing, and it's this little time capsule to like a little version of you, or a less old one, young adults, you know, shit like that.
Yeah,
it's fun in that way.
I agree.
Yeah,
it's a nice way to track shit, you know.
See, I got to like the positive thing. I'm a nice guy. I want to be a nice guy. Don't make it hard for me, guys. It's so hard to be nice. Sometimes it is. Jesus Christ.
Positive.
Pause.
Like pause, but positive.
Yeah. Oh, wait.
Positive.
Hold on. I gotta say, and I'm inviting this because I want to know who all of you people are, because if you identify yourselves, I know who to get. The people who just can't help but try to squeeze a pun in every motherfucking time, but like, I mean, there's a way to do it. Like, yeah, there's like an ironic thing, an anti-joke sort of way. There's a place for that, and maybe sometimes the little pun can be fine, but they do it like a lot, like every 6 or 7 statements to something you're talking about, and I get pissed off. And if you're like really down for the puns, like down bad, go ahead, you can throw them at me to try me, annoy me, but then I'll know who you are. Come on, let's play chicken.
Down Bad is a really good Taylor Swift song.
It's yeah, it is. I never heard it. It's funny because I know she's an adult and all, but I know she's an adult, and I am pretty sure she's widely considered to be attractive. However, hearing that kind of thing regarding her as a sexual being is still weird to me because I don't pay attention to her. Remember when I said I don't remember ever hearing her speak, and I wondered, does anybody interview her? Of course they fucking do. After like,
yeah, she gets interviewed all the time.
Yeah, like several decades, but it's like I don't know what the fuck she fucking sounds like, and I actually don't think I would be able to know her if I saw her. I could not peg her face. It was just like,
you're actively wounding your Swiftie co-host right now. How am I?
Why should you be wounded when I'm the one?
I'm a himbo
who will pass up the opportunity to talk to Taylor Swift? I don't know what you want to call. That's a cute name. Tata Sweet.
Sure.
I'm not trying very hard.
The normal one.
Tay-Tay?
It's
wait,
Tay-Tay.
wait,
God.
Really? No, are you fucking kidding me?
No, people have called her Tay-Tay before.
I actually find that kind of disrespectful. I'm just fucking around, but you don't fucking...
Too, but, you know.
Like, Tay-Tay? Who the fuck are you? You don't know who the fuck she is. And unless you're trying to insult her, don't fucking call her Tay-Tay.
I agree for the record.
Like, who the fuck... What the fuck is wrong with you people? God...
Listen, stan culture for pop stars is really fucking weird. If you ever run into it, don't. Run the other way.
Wait a minute.
It's a weird fucking cesspool.
Hold on. Wait a minute. I remember when people started to say stan and standing and shit like that. I forgot. Do you have any idea from what context people started to use that at?
Yes, I do. We've talked about this before.
Well, I forgot, though. What the fuck was it?
It was for, like...
Oh, fuck. And also, isn't that like a contraction of the words stalker and fan?
Yes.
Stan?
Yes, it is. That's what... Yes. And it used to get used in a lot of, like, forum contexts, I think, back in the day or something.
Right,
But
right.
it was not... It was not a good connotation originally. It has just morphed into something else, unfortunately.
Just like the word fan, shortened from fanatic, which if you hear the term fanatic...
When I talk about stan culture, I mean stan culture, because there are some really weird motherfuckers out there who are very strangely parasocial about the pop star that they're obsessed with and go to those lengths to celebrate that pop star and also shit on all the other ones. So that's why I say if you ever run into stan culture, you need to run the fuck away, because it is deeply unhealthy and not good for anyone involved, especially the pop stars or whoever it is that they're ostensibly trying to support, because you put someone up on a pedestal, well, then they've got a long way to fall if they, are offside on whatever you think is offside. So.
There's so much media talking about exactly why that's bad in both hyperbolic and creepily realistic ways. A really, really good example of that is Blue Velvet. It is a movie. It is Japanese animated. No, it is not tied to any kind of series. It is a standalone original film. And that shit is an amazing movie, and it's fucked up. You should watch it if you want to, like, get an impression of what Zil is talking about. See, I told you Obsession bad.
Obsession is bad.
So, yeah.
So we have confirmed that Brainrot is canceled.
Brainrot is canceled. It's canceled forever, guys. Oh my god. God, even that word kind of like pisses me off because everybody just sort of says it whenever they say, we don't want to do this anymore or we oppose it. You're not canceling shit, guys. You're not stopping anything by just saying, go fuck yourselves. Go do something for real. Like, not firebomb the Walmart. That's a good idea. Yeah, it's funny because just like I keep, every time somebody says the word Stan, all I can think of is Stan by Eminem. Because that's
apparently where it came from. Google told me.
Really? Well, that's where it should come from because that's the fucking place that it makes the most sense to me. Cause
that's what Google says. Google never lie to me, so
yeah, it's only taken down the holidays, like in the Pride Month and the Black History Month and Hispanic Heritage Month and also and Scream Month. We don't have Scream Month anymore, everybody. We're fucked. Can't scream all month, 1 month out of the year anymore. Also, no Holocaust Remembrance Day, just in case you were wondering. If that makes you feel uncomfortable, it should. But yeah, I was thinking like, man, you're calling yourself a stan, and I'm thinking of Eminem, and I'm thinking of that whole song, and I'm like, wow, why do you want to say that even playfully? I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
You fucking unrot your brain. Unrot your brain. What is the opposite of rotting?
Rejuvenating. And I have some audience questions to rejuvenate us because they're asking interesting questions.
Oh fuck, dude! I don't know if I can handle that in this state. You're gonna take your
questions.
Yeah.
You're gonna get you're gonna answer the question. So the first question is from Other Side, and the question is,
another one.
What do you think would be the perfect punishment for someone who was always like, I wish that were me on every single TF picture?
I think
perfect TF punishment.
Oh, a perfect TF punishment? So it would have to include transformation.
Yes.
I think it would be simply to give it to them in most cases. If I have to include the transformation, then it would probably be to give it to them. You want that? Okay. Also, you can always be evil genie logic about it, but I think having like a flat approach is kind of what I'm getting from the question. What's the blanket way that I would try to approach it? And I guess I would give it to them. And knowing that the world would not be suited to whatever's happening to them, wherever they happen to be, that becomes a punishment. And if you get to keep your faculties, which the only way it could be a punishment is if you know what's happening, I do that too. I know it's so phoned in. Why didn't you think of something creative? But Jesus Christ, man! People say they want to be things, and what's going to happen the rest of your fucking life? You're not going to be fine. You're not going to be just fine. Jesus, what do you think?
Yeah, I think it depends on the level of annoyance I was getting from this person. If it was like, I don't know, you say that every so often as a meme, I'm not going to be mean to you. If you're genuinely like, this is all you do, and you're a piece of shit to people, I'd probably, you know what, I'd do a slightly different permutation. I would give the person the transformation, but I'd make it an upside down TF.
Oh, pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's so icky. The thing I like is very pure and very much not icky, like the way you like it.
Oh, well, too bad.
Fucking shit.
The next question I have Sorry. The next question I have, if I can say it, is from Zandir. And the question is...
Zandir.
What do you
think... Say it.
Zandir. The question is...
Yeah,
what do you think about transformation in music, and why is it always tied to rock songs about werewolves and vampire metal?
What do you mean always?
I mean, it kind of is a lot of the time.
No, what? No, I never hear that kind of shit, like, usually through metal. I hear it through, like, other kinds of music.
Well, then, what do you think of it? You can answer the question.
I think that you need to expand your musical taste, or that if you've only noticed it in that kind of music, I think it's interesting, because I haven't. But you know what? Actually, that's untrue. I just happened to get it from Metalocalypse in at least 2 songs or so. At least Go Into the Water is definitely one that is specifically about going into the ocean and turning into some kind of ocean creature that is never to walk on land again. I know Metalocalypse is a gag show, but God, that music is so fucking good, even if it's a goof. But yeah, like, there's fucking... Oh man, I wish I remember the name of the other artist. It was a song about a selkie, and it had this beautiful paper puppet and physical puppet stop motion animation style to it, and it told an entire story, and it was fucking beautiful, and it was cool. It wasn't rock, it was like folk. It was like folky type of singing. And then of course there's Florence and the Machine, who has Howl, and that ain't rock.
I love that song.
It's just yes, and I think I actually heard another few songs from Honey Bear, and I was just like, oh, this is pretty much about being a monster. Werewolf sometimes too, because people sing about that shit. So it's funny that you talk about... Actually, wait, hold on a second. I'm gonna reprise my initial objection, because the transformation I heard in metal had nothing to do with werewolves. That turned into going into the water and growing gills and breathing it in. And you fuckers, where the fuck is the werewolf metal? You have to show us.
I've heard it a few times.
Well, go into the water.
Okay.
You, what do you think? Do you like metal?
No, I'm not really a metal person. I just most of the like songs that get shared around when people are like, "This is a TF song," it's usually a rock or metal song. I've heard it in other things, like Florence and the Machine with Howl, which is a fucking banger. But I think I understand where Zandir is coming from, because every time I've at least seen stuff shared around in that context, it's usually a metal or a rock song, which is fine. It's whatever. Like, whatever. They gravitate to that, good for them. Hey, they made some good fucking art. But, yeah, I mean, I genuinely... I don't know, man. I don't really listen for, like, transformation in music. It's cool when it comes up on, like just because I'm listening and I'm like, oh, but I don't really look for it in music. My music's not for transformation. My music's for, like, processing my emotions related to relationships, man. I'm not thinking about transformation when I'm listening to music. So,
yeah, see, there you go. And you know what? Sometimes it has a vibe, and that's where I get from it. There's a song from Double Dragon Neon called Mango Tango, and the lyrics to that song gives me this entire narrative of this secretly like tiger lady or monster tiger lady who's like luring this one guy to like go be with her and do whatever and shit like that. And if you listen to the lyrics, you could be like, oh, I can see that, but that gave me the vibe. And sometimes it's direct, like fucking Howl or Go Into the Water. Or you gotta tell me where's one werewolf metal song. What's the next question?
The last question I have here is from... It wasn't technically intended for us, but someone lifted it off of Tumblr, and I'm like, yeah, fuck it, it works. So it's from someone named Flame Shield, and the question is, I put it in recording chat. If your OC verse was like a published media, which character of yours would be interpreted by the fandom in the most horrendously incorrect ways possible?
Oh, shit. I have I have two characters in mind for that, and first one is this angel character I have, who I have characterized as a being that is just purely about bliss, and she does everything out of true love for every person. And I think that would be twisted up very much, or somebody would just want to try to save this being beyond comprehension so that they could have their good time and feel good about themselves, or have their fuck fantasy or like ideal partner or something. Because I understand that people like to take certain qualities and either downplay what they really are, because, you know, a toned down version can be hot. But, you know, yeah, I think like that's one of them. And the other one would be Alessa. Alessa is a character I made out of a commission like 10 years ago or so. And she was supposed to be a flesh crafter type sorceress who would yank you from the woods or something and turn you into something to her liking, and she'd keep you around. Not treat you cruelly, but she would just do it because that's the thing that she likes to do. And she's kind of like part creative, part I guess I wouldn't say scientist, but she cares about the method and what she can get out of it. The craft and fleshcraft is there for a reason. And there have been people, when they become aware of the concept, they'll be like, ooh, maybe she could do this to me or that for me. And they misinterpret it as, she's going to want to change you, but she too will get horny and therefore do horny things to me. No, she fucking won't. But that would continue to keep happening because people want to get jerked off and or fucked by somebody who's changing them. And as much as I love that fantasy, that is not what she is there for. So that's two answers for you.
I think it's pretty fucking solid answers. I'll also give two answers. The first one is one I feel pretty comfortable saying because it's a character I've put in 2 D&D campaigns so far, and both times has been misinterpreted. Not in like a horrendous way, but misinterpreted regardless. I have a character named Draco, who is a dragon who has, I know, very original naming here, who has had to deal with like a pretty acute incident of grief in his past, which made him withdraw from the world writ large for like 3 centuries. And because of that, in some senses, like he withdrew and bad things basically continue to happen in the world. And in both contexts, this was interpreted as like, well, he was running away from his trauma, and because he wasn't doing things as a dragon because he had a lot of power, he's kind of responsible for the shit that happened when he was grieving. And I don't know how people came to that conclusion, but I don't disagree. I mean, like, I disagree. I don't think that's correct, but whatever. He'd probably be up there. I think the other one, for different ways, would probably be my wonderful fox boy, who I have a lot of brain rot for right now, named Lambert. He is kind of a moral Robin Hood ideologue, and yes, he's a fox, but I find that when it comes specifically to male characters who are open about being rather sexually promiscuous and also not being like built like a beefcake, they often will get interpreted in some pretty insane ways in fandoms, particularly when it comes to the fan fiction that inevitably gets written about them. So I am positive that he would get horribly misinterpreted in one way or another, and that one I would be less upset about, because I'd be like, if you're gonna write something hot, then yeah, I'll fucking read it with him. But the other one, I'm like, come on, guys, you're missing the point. So, yeah.
Yep. So remember, guys, you can think whatever you want, but if you're gonna take it to the person who made it, be ready for potential genuine response of why.
Yeah.
Why?
pretty much. But, yeah, I don't know. Did you have any questions for the himbo?
You fucking dude. I asked you questions throughout this episode, and I am too tired.
Right.
I think that we can ask each other questions for a long time, because that's part of how this show is able to run in the fucking first place. Don't you think?
But
that ended in a question mark. Do you think so?
Oh my god. I don't think I'm a himbo.
Oh. Well, now I'm sad because I had this very specific image about you in my head. You've broken that, and that can't be forgiven.
I'm sorry.
My day is made immeasurably worse because of you.
The titties are just growing too big. I can't think anymore.
Life is complete garbage now, and it's your fault.
It is. It's my fault.
Hell yeah, it is. And you can make life a little better if you can afford to just throw money into our Patreon. Do you know how hard I fucking work on this stuff? That's part of why I'm tired sometimes. It takes a lot of goddamn effort, damn it. A lot of effort. I care. I care about making this. That's why we're here. Okay?
It takes a lot of effort to grow my titties.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? There is one last thing I'd like to leave on. There is an individual who is going to remain nameless until it is inconvenient to keep the name out of my mouth.
Oh.
But you are a cowardly, feckless piece of shit. I don't ever think that you have the stones to name us for what you think about us.
Specifically me.
You might as well be talking to me. You feckless fucking coward. You fucking wretched piece of shit. You are the reason America is weaker as a nation, okay? You don't have the fucking balls to exercise free speech. You don't have the exercise. You don't have the exercise. Maybe you do. Apparently you were a very physically active person. Oh, you did some very physically intensive stuff, and I'd like to cap off the episode with a little bit of catharsis because I think I fucking deserve it. Because when people talk that good shit and they want to speak in euphemisms, but those are the same kind of people who would whine and bitch and moan and cry the moment that you have to call them out on something that they fucking said, those people weaken the nation every time they speak, and you, motherfucker, are a weakness. Don't ever fucking say anything. Say the names. You have nothing to be afraid of if you're right, you piece of shit. And you're wondering, well, why don't you say my name? You're such a hypocrite. Well, asshole, apparently it would be bad. It would be very bad if the big, bad, mean podcast host would come along and send the minions and the fans and the hordes and cancel you. So I'm sparing you that because I'm so benevolent. No, really, I'd love to be able to just say who the fuck you are so that people could be like, oh shit, he said this stuff about you, you should hear it. But no, you don't fucking deserve it. In due time you might, if you find the balls, if you actually want to fucking fight or something like that.
If you would also like to have the free 99 service of getting roasted by Libra, just subtweet Zil and it'll happen.
You don't fucking get to talk that shit. What the fuck do you think this is? Not to mention it's like by two podcast hosts who blah da blah da blah who did something. Something? What the fuck, man? I did a bunch of regrettable shit in my past. Lots of people have. Don't fucking lie. Don't fucking lie. There is shit that you fucking regret. And you're gonna come along and be like, they did stuff. I'll do stuff now, asshole. Oh, fuck yourself. Quietly, please. Good night. Unless I can't sleep. Try to sleep.
I can sleep on my big tits.
Yay. Him titties. Good night.
Him titties.
Good night.
Hittities. Bye.